if the rest of you would line up and be prepared, Rael Rossi, Margaret Wilson, Jen Kinsey, Sirku Jehonan, and Amber Keller. Go ahead.
I'd now like to ask everyone who is here, because you don't want CAIR in the classroom, to please stand up briefly. My name is Terry Kemple, and I'm here representing Community Issues Council. Mrs. Elia, thank you for already seeing me on this issue. And board members, I thank those of you who have already scheduled appointments, and I hope the rest of you will schedule appointments soon. You'll be hearing from a number of people here who are concerned about the school district policies, or I should say lack of policies, that has allowed a leader of an organization that has been named as a Hamas entity and as a co-conspirator in the biggest terrorist funding trial in U.S. history to be in our classrooms instructing our children. In case you don't know, Hamas is one of the radical jihadist groups that has been designated a terrorist organization by the United States government. Hamas uses violent means to impose Sharia law. The organization I'm referring to is the Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CAIR. CAIR is one of the organizations that uses a more subtle cultural jihad approach to impose Sharia law. But make no mistake, their end goal is the imposition of Sharia law as the dominant law in America. Last week, Newt Gingrich called Sharia law a mortal threat to America because Sharia requires that it be dominant and be recognized as the law of the land. Sharia prohibits women and non-Muslims from voting in elections. Sharia denies equality for women. Sharia prohibits freedom of religion. You'll hear these and other comments about the dangers of Sharia. These are not idle speculation. They're supported by evidence that comes directly from the mouths of the founders and leaders of CAIR and from the doctrinal writings of Sharia. We're here as a coalition to ask you to agenda this item and speak to the item, and also to institute a complete checks and balances system that protects our children and our school system by ensuring that this type of thing doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Rael Rossi.
My name is Brielle Rossi. Second to the point, I just don't feel like CAIR needs to be part of the organization or the Hillsborough County public school system as well.
Thank you. Margaret Wilson.
Hi, my name is Margaret Wilson. I live in Hillsborough County. I would just like to say that I am opposed to the organization CAIR to have access to our school system in any way. I do believe that they present themselves with a peaceful agenda, but I don't believe that that is their true motive or their ultimate goal. I don't believe their influence is in the best interest of our students or the best interest of our country.
Is Sirku Jehonan here?
Honorable school board members, my name is Sirku Jehonan. I want to greet you from the nation of Finland, where I'm a part of the national education system as a public school teacher, have been for the last 12 years. I want to bring an international view of what I can see taking place in the European education system. Internationalism and tolerance have been two big words the past 10 years in our nation because of drastic changes of the population due to intake of refugees into our nations in Europe, especially from Islamistic nations. What we cannot afford to do in this process is to lose our own identity as a nation, as we help the foreigners to find their place in our society. We have to stay true to our own roots. We do not invite guests to our house and let them take over our whole house. Our focus as leaders and teachers should be to protect our children's and youth roots and identity. We have therefore reinforced as a nation of Finland to not take in any political organizations or forces into our school systems. It does not mean we are not tolerant to different views. There is a wise way, a right way, to introduce different cultures to our children and youth. The CAIR organization does not agree or enforce the roots and true identity of the United States. It opposes the constitution of this nation. The Islamistic Association all over the world has agendas not only to teach, but to take over every part of society. Again, we as leaders within the education system of the nation have to put clear, secure boundaries for our future generations in the education. It is our responsibility and we cannot give it to anybody else. Therefore, I oppose the CAIR curriculum in this public school system. Thank you.
I oppose CAIR
CAIR on two grounds. The first is constitutional, the second is on the organization itself. And I'm going to speak of two Supreme Court cases. The first is in 1948, McCollum versus the Board of Education. The court found that religious instruction in public schools is a violation of the Establishment Clause and therefore unconstitutional. Also, in 1971, Lemon v. Kurtzman, there was a three-part litmus test to determine if an action violates the First Amendment separation of church and state. The first part being government action must have secular purpose. 2, its primary purpose must not be to inhibit or advance religion. Number 3, there must be no excessive entanglement between government and religion. While I believe this board has no intention of violating the first two parts of the test, I believe that CAIR does. Omar Ahmed, the joint founder of CAIR, said Muslim Americans have a duty to deliver the message of Islam, and Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to become dominant. And I certainly believe that we should have tolerance in this nation. That's what this nation was founded upon, and that we should all have rights. However, that is not what they're asking for. Nihad Ahmad, another co-founder and the current executive director, said, "I am in support of the Hamas movement." In 2003, a CAIR employee by the name of Randall Royer was arrested in Northern Virginia for being part of a jihadist network. A 2005 fatwa was issued by this group and others, and it was against religious extremism and violence, but it did not go against attacks on military targets. Barbara Boxer withdrew her certificate of accomplishment amidst concerns it was a terrorist organization. In 2007, proceedings against the Holy Land Foundation named it also an unindicted co-conspirator. While it was never convicted, in 2008 the FBI ceased all ties to the organization. It is currently funded by foreign governments. It asks for support from Libya under Gaddafi, and it refuses to endorse U.S. blanket commendation of Hillsborough and Hamas.
Thank you. Marisol Serrano. My name is Marisol Serrano, and I live in Hillsborough County, and I oppose the CAIR curriculum in our schools. Thank you. Brian?
I want to thank the school board for allowing me to speak today. As a father to a child, this really breaks my heart to know this is even considered in the schools, and I hope really that the school board will consider not allowing this in the schools, especially if you have children. I want you to think about what's the right thing to do before you make a decision. Really think about it, because this is a very critical decision you'll be making, and I really hope that you make the right one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am here to oppose the CAIR organization. Coming as a teacher from the Prince George's County Schools in Maryland, we know that the students and adults alike are so hungry for the truth. And I teach students, or kids rather, that are in Hillsborough Public Schools, that are in the communities that many of us that are here that teach, and they need the truth. And that's why we are here to oppose the CAIR organization. That's why we're here to make sure that the truth is known, not just here in Tampa, but all over the United States and all over the world.